Hi everyone, just getting set to go live on my account. Yet another interesting chat lined up for so many of you. And yeah, the author journey has been super fun. Um, the book has been released, it's been 2 weeks now. Hi Turia, hope your book's doing fabulous. Hi Mayur, thanks for joining. Hi Pragati, waiting to get you online. So, for all those who've connected with us, thank you so much for being with us. Very pleasant evening. About the challenges of managing multiple jobs and even then following our passion to write. I have.
Hi, Bhargavi. Hello. How are
Hi, Pragati.
you?
Welcome to the. How are you?
I don't know if I can hear you properly. One moment. Can you hear me? Okay,
Yes,
lovely.
I can.
How are you doing? I'm sorry, I'm a little late.
No, just about.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm losing your voice
All
somehow. I don't know
right.
why. It's
Oh, okay. Are you?
no. I don't know. Maybe it's uh I think the two-way on Insta Live becomes a little challenging in that sense.
Yeah, that's true. Keep back and forth.
I'm going to try and join you again. Just a moment.
All right. Hello once again to all of you who already joined us. We're just waiting for Pragati to join back. These things happen, technical issues as always. But we have a very exciting chat planned for all of you who've joined us. Both of us are authors. I'm 2 books old, she's 1 book old. We have a lot to talk about our books, and we have a lot to talk about our author journeys. So I just can't wait to share, some of the things that we've learned along the way, some of the mistakes we made, some of the amazing comments.
Hi. Yes.
Hi. Yes. Pragati, why don't you say hi to all the people who've joined from your account, the
Yes.
Insta chat?
Hello, everybody. This is my first Insta Live. It's quite an experience, I must say. And thank you for joining in, everybody. And thank you, Bhargavi, for doing this. I think it's absolutely wonderful. Author to author, corporate person to corporate person. Uh, I want to know a lot more about you.
But back, what would you tell?
Uh, First of all, I think it's been quite a journey getting here. And I think,
I can.
yes, I know, because I think the last time we spoke about this, it was quite, yeah, me too, kind of a feeling, right? And it was really,
Yeah.
really exciting. And I must say, I was very grateful to know that there's somebody else that has actually been through a similar kind of journey and dilemma and challenges and excitement, right? There's so much more
Yeah.
excitement and challenges, but those challenges are like so much. I mean, they're pleasant. I wouldn't say that because they're for us. We've kind of brought them on, right? Because we want to do so much more. So I think it was just great to chat with you very briefly last time. So just very quickly, I want to just tell you without getting too elaborate. But yes, in the entertainment industry, I think almost 20 years, and I've been a part of very large teams of whether it's platform, it's studios, production
Yeah.
houses, in terms of creating films, web series, and television shows. Uh, I think it was time to say that let's try and do something on our own. Writing has always been a passion, and the pandemic just helped. The lockdown just gave me all that time and drive to say, now I'm going to sit and write. And hence it happened, right? So I'm still in a corporate job, and I cannot ignore it. I'm very grateful for it. I love my job, absolutely love it. But yeah, this is something that gives me an added. Like I would say it's a vocation that has so far been a lot of fun. I'm loving it. Yes. Tell me a little more about you,
Oh,
Bhargavi.
thank you so much. I think it was very uh, first to post on uh, so what do I do next? Like a step up,
Yeah. I think it's I think your voice is
so
yes, yes.
yeah. Okay.
No, I think we lost your voice again, Bhargavi.
That's again. Okay.
Okay. Now that it's just me, she's trying to fix her audio. Uh oh, there she's back. Yes,
Okay. Hi. Can you hear
yes.
me?
Can hear you now.
Better? Better? Okay. All of you on the chat so much for what was not working. Thank you for that. Hope I got it now.
I think there's still some issues with your audio, Bhargavi. Sh- I don't know what's the issue.
Okay. We have some fans of yours on the Insta live. It's amazing,
I
amazing
think
stuff.
I've been very blessed with kind people. I'm very grateful to have met very kind people through my journey. My husband, my family, my sisters, my colleagues, my very dear friends. I think it's a blessing, and I cannot be more grateful enough for that. So I think, Bhargavi, I think there is. Do you want to? Sorry, we, I don't think we can hear you. Do you want to try again? Maybe there's an internet issue. Should we do this?
Okay. Better thanks for telling me.
It comes and goes. I think,
We'll go with the
yeah, we can go with
flow
the flow. I think we
and
can just like tell Instagram there's a problem with your audio.
uh, right. Okay. There I am again. I'm trying my best to get this right. Okay, today's been day of Insta lives. I did one in the morning. I hope
Yes.
now the technical issue is resolved.
Yes.
I hope the voice is
Yes.
better. Okay. All right. Great. Let's get into it. So we had a wonderful introduction of Pragati. She's been balancing it a lot. I have a small profile too for all those who haven't been introduced to me yet. By day, I am the entrepreneur CEO of a human resources consulting company. I'm very proud to say that it's an
Wow.
all-woman company. So we're actually getting a lot of
Wow.
women back to work. That's the motto and the mantra of the company. My dad started it. It wasn't me. Thank you, Anjali. Thank you, Weird Uno. Sorry. Thanks for telling me the audio is working. Thanks, guys. All right. So this is basically my day job, but my vocation actually I studied and I trained to become a mass communications
Wow.
expert. So that never left me. I think the passion of content creation never left me. And when I was in college, just got out of symbiosis, I started my own short film and corporate filmmaking company, as I was telling you earlier. And I thought that was my life. I thought I'm going to make documentaries for the rest of my life. That's going to feed me, buy me my cars, invest, put it in the bank, everything. How wrong was I? How wrong? How naive was I? And life had other plans, and the ways of teaching you lessons are plenty. So that's exactly what happened. I figured out pretty early you have to have deep pockets to be in that business. So I joined my family business, my dad's company, Excel Corporation, full time. And later on in 2018, I felt there was a gap in the way we were branding ourselves because we were a services company. So I started our own podcast series in India in 2018 when Indian podcasts were a lot lesser. We were listening to a lot of US and European stuff. And People Who Matter, which is a business podcast show, started then and became a raging success in within 2-3 seasons. We had the best people from the brands like Big Basket, ID Fresh
Lovely.
Foods, Misho, Deloitte, Facebook, etc. So we had all of them on the show. That was amazing. But still, that itch never ended. And I was like, what can I do next? And then before I could answer that question, the pandemic hit the world. And like you, the world paused and the world stopped for a second. And I felt that, okay, there's a lot of things I've learned along the way. Why don't I pen it stories? Or was FIFA podcast, which was basically a way to tell Indian content creators that you can create content too, like A for Apple, B for Ball, P for Podcast. And with the same publisher that we recently I've launched my book and your book is about to launch, Right Order. I published with them. That was my first book. And luckily, during COVID, with Amazon being the lead generator of sales for us, it did very well online. A lot of people bought the book. And then that encouraged me that, okay, I have so many stories to tell. Why don't I share it in a fiction format?
Yeah.
And I think for every author, I'm sure you'll agree, fiction is very dear to heart. Like, you can be a business person, you can write non-fiction, but you know what you're reading at night, okay? Everybody knows what you're picking up when you're traveling in a train or in a flight or, just in between transit. It's fiction. And that's the reason I'm like, I will only be a true author, to myself, if I can write a fiction series. And that's how my book,
so
that's how I got into this
journey. It's your first book of a trilogy, I believe, right?
Yes. So it's actually a 4-part series. I don't know if quadrology is a word yet.
We can invent
I'm getting there. But yeah, so it's yes, maybe I can. But yeah, so it's like a 4-part series. It's a fun take. We'll definitely talk about that. But fiction brings me to your book as well. So why did you choose this genre? Because it's so interesting. Tell us a little bit about what prompted you to get into this genre and how did you start your writing?
So I'll go in reverse. I think my writing journey started when I was very young. I wrote my first article for the school paper when I was 8 years old. It got published in my school paper. My teachers could hardly believe I wrote it. I could hardly believe I wrote it. My parents were quite surprised as well. I started writing the first book at the age of 13. It's still unfinished. It's there. It's preserved. I kept those papers. They turned yellow till I was, I think, 21, 22, and then kind of transcribed them, put them in my in that time, the very old, the box computer thingy, correct? And with time, of course, it went to email, and now it is sitting there with a lot of happiness and pride, saying someday I will look at it. I don't know if I'll ever finish that one, but I was 13 when I started writing that. So it's always been a passion. I think my profession just happened. I can't say I planned to get into this industry. It was pretty accidental, and that's a conversation we'll have another time about how that journey began. But I think it just fueled the passion, and for me, it was just about how can I learn more, right? Because storytelling is such a big part of each and every person's life. Like we're telling stories all the time. You're telling stories as a mother. You tell your kids. As a pet parent, you're telling your pet. You're pretty much, as a child, you're telling everybody stories all the time. So we are inherently, as human beings, we are storytellers. I think it is it's just about taking that first step. And the most difficult part, and you'll relate to this, right? The most difficult part is, what's your first story? I think that's the big challenge, because there's so much we want to talk about. There's so much you want to tell. There's so much, and not every idea has the legs to travel and become an entire full-fledged story. But so we kind of start off with, this is a great idea. This is what I want to tell the world. And then you kind of flesh it out and you realize, oh, now what? Because I think for me, correct. So I think for me, the transition happened was when the story and the character started talking to me. it was, so my book, Dark and Shiny Place, it's, uh, here, this
There.
is, it's, I think when I started writing about my primary character, Maya, it was when, as she started coming to life, as she started developing, right, as a person in front of me, was when she started telling me what she wants her story to be. And honestly, that's just how this happened. I did not plan to write a dark and intense book at all. In general, I am a fun-loving, light person. Um, I do have a lot of philosophical conversations. I love philosophy, absolutely love it. If I could just leave on that.
Not. Oh my, goodbye. I get.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's just like if it could pay well, I would just be a philosopher. It's just like you know,
Yeah. Obviously,
totally get, and most of the time our theories they can be backed up with logical reasoning. So it's not like, because philosophy and logic are like they go hand in hand, and
not fluff, like a lot of things. Not, like,
correct.
philosopher.
So so I think it just happened that as I started developing the story, and because it was the pandemic, it was through the lockdown, a lot of conversations with loved ones, with people they knew. A lot of people were experiencing loss. We were experiencing a lot of challenges where you wanted to reach out to people, you didn't know how to. It was the first time that virtual communication were the only source of, or the only channel, and you don't know always how to be there for somebody, and you don't know how much you can trust, because all you can see is this little screen. So you don't know, once the screen is turned off, what is that person going to be doing if they're trapped alone. And all these conversations with various people I knew, and hearing their stories and their loved ones, led to, I think, for me to explore this subject, this story, uh, because at the core, the takeaway of the book is really to have conversations. It's so layered
Yeah.
about supernatural experience, and whether it's mental affliction, but the bottom line is talk. Let's talk. It's all about just picking up the phone and saying hey, or it's just about writing a message. It's the most difficult thing, and I can tell you, I don't do it most often. It is extremely challenging as well. So I mean, I'm not saying it's easy, but I have realized that it's the
Yeah.
only thing to do, right? So let's talk. I think we lost you again in terms of audio. I was talking so much. Yes,
Ah, that's okay. I'm back.
yes.
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. So I just thought that, the topic is so complex, and giving it a title like A Dark and a Shiny Place is very intriguing. Like, the person wants to know, what are you talking about? Like, what is this? What is this two sides of the coin and two sides of me that maybe I can see? Like, everybody, says that there's a gray in me and there's a dark in me and there's a light in me. It's how much I access the dark and how much I access the light that kind of ultimately, makes me the person that I am. So I'm super intrigued after hearing the premise of your book and just the way you have treated it. And yeah, I can't wait for it to launch and, go ahead and get my copy for sure.
But
It's going to be fun
it's
to read
it's quite
that for sure.
interesting because you've written a kid's book. So it's amazing that we actually have connected on so many different levels as people with so many commonalities.
Yeah.
And you have written this beautiful
Yeah.
fantasy kids book. And, we're talking about a very dark and intense book that I've written. So,
Yeah. Yeah. No, but it's so funny. Like, two people. So I think this is wonderful about authors or creative people in general, right? At the core, we're
yeah,
probably very similar people, but the products that we've
yeah.
created are so drastically
I think
different,
that's,
right? Even in the genre of
yeah.
books
And
itself.
I think it's
Sorry, go
also
ahead.
the beauty of written material, right? It is, and we experience this whether
Yeah,
it's with books, it's with scripts, it's with messages. When you write something, it's the same words, but each person, when we read it
yeah,
and what we take away is going to be different. Our
yeah,
interpretations are different, right? And and hence, if you
absolutely.
take the same book or the same script to different directors or different people, they would visualize it differently
Yeah,
and they would translate
yeah,
it on screen absolutely differently, right? So I think that's, yeah,
no,
that's the magic of the written word. Uh, it's and like Karan is saying, creation comes from a place of absolute purity. Another author in the house here with us, which is so true. Thank you, Karan. That is
absolutely.
very true.
Yeah. It almost seems like he's hanging out with us because he's been like, commenting on a lot of things that we've said so far. So it's really cool. I wish we could get you online as well, but we will keep with the books till and maybe a session of creativity and stories that come out of us. Time. Oh, yes, about my book for all the this is the world of Vishwakarma.
It's so cute. I love the
He,
cover. Absolutely love it.
yeah, it's been a fun journey creating the cover for sure. We'll talk about it maybe a little later, for sure. But Vishwakarma is the fun-loving kid that I created. One word, word, uh, someone loves science and math, and he's a genius. He's a geek. But he hates his one downfall in like studies or in ranks and everything else in class is the history subject. He just can't fathom it. He can't understand it. He doesn't know why people have to study it. Who cares what happened thousands of years ago? That is the attitude of Vishwakarma. Accidentally, he happens to find a way to time travel back into a very important period of Indian history. He lands in the eras of kings and dynasties
Oh,
and
wow.
politics and war, and he gets messed up in all that. And he meets some of the most legendary characters from history. A little later, I'll read a little passage of that specific moment when he meets the character. And he realizes that, okay, maybe I'm the only one from this century who has access to the past. So, what if I start going back, deleting the events in history so I don't have to come back in the future and study them? If they don't exist in the past, it's not going to be written. It'll never come into my exams, so I'd never have to study it.
How
So,
cool.
that's the philosophy
Tell
and the
me, isn't that
concept of
what you
which,
thought about throughout school? That's exactly what you thought about.
no, actually, not really. So I was a geek myself. I used to call myself cool nerd. So I was a kid who would like plan my outfit before I had exams. That was me. So Wish is like my alter ego, which I think has always existed in me from all the friends that I know and all the family members that I know. He's a combination character of all of them. But yeah, like you said, after a point in time, Wish started writing his own story. Like after a point in time, I didn't have to write the story. I had to just initiate, get into the
Yeah.
mind space of the character, and I
Yeah.
think then he just took off. And I think the world of children's books, it's very dear to me because a lot of the stuff that's made me who I am, I think it's, the stories
Oh,
of
yes.
Enid Blyton, or it's the
I
stories
remember.
of
Yeah,
Agatha
Agatha
Christie.
Christie, the Goonies, the Hardy Boys, Vancouver.
Yeah, Harry Boys,
Oh,
Nancy Drew,
yes.
Sweet Valley High, what not, right? I mean, like, what didn't we go through to get to a place of, probably modern wisdom and maturity? But you never leave that aspect of you. And more recently, J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter. So they're huge influences in the way we look at the world. Lord of the Rings. So I think all these have been like a way of shaping the way I think of, kids and adventure and fun. And when I had to think of the next book I wanted to write, which story, which was with me for the last, I think, 5 6 years, uh, and Gata Chaudhary, somebody did, absolutely. We had so many ones in India as well.
Yeah.
Comics used to have Katha.
Of course.
So
How can I forget
many, so
Supandi? Like he was like the
Vandi and
so many
and so many
more, so
more,
many more.
right?
Absolutely. I think Amar Chitragatha was one of the most amazing uh, I don't know, Indian comics that we grew up on, you know. And then there
Yes.
was of course Calvin and
Yeah.
Hobbes who I think for the longest time
Yeah.
I didn't know that Hobbes didn't exist, you know. It was,
And, yeah. If you and see the world size and travel all around. Dog Snowy. So I
So, so yes, talking about Snowy, when I was growing up, we got a little white pom dog. And the first thing my sisters and I were like, okay, the first thing we're naming it was Snowy. So, yeah, so my
Snowy.
first dog was called Snowy. I was 6 years old when we got him, I think 6 or 7 years old. And yeah, he lived with us till I was 20, 21. And he was touchwood. Yes, he was. But yes, it was. So imagine, right? The first dog that you own, and he's coming because he's called Snowy because you grew up with Tintin, and it was all about. Had to be, and it had to be a white furry fellow. So.
And reading was a big
Yes.
part of our entertainment. It was a big part of who we were. It was a big part of summer vacations and holidays. And kids today, if you just time travel into the future, what's happening today? I think kids today are trying to find that balance between books and gadgets. Books. So it's very important for movements like this where we encourage more reading, we write more literature which is more current, which is more relevant on the adult genre, young adults or teenagers or mature audiences, getting people to come back to reading. I think that is primarily the goal for so many publishers, very similar to the one we both are working on. The right order. So let's talk about them. We were mentioning the publisher. Let's talk about them. So how did you come across the right
very
order?
dear friend of mine was joining Prati, and at the same time I was looking at, I of course, you know how it is. We went through the whole round of who to publish with, first book, all of that. And it just so happened that they introduced me to Niket, who who started Right Order, and wonderful, wonderful, wonderful person. Young, it's a nice young startup kind. They're not a startup, but their whole attitude, the whole openness, and just the whole vibe of the team was so lovely. And I think what really I didn't look at another publisher. I'll be honest with you. I just did not think twice about any other publisher. I was just like, this is it, because they just said, it's your book, it's your creatives. We will only give you a point of view, and that's it. Even as editorial, and they said everything is up to you. And that, for it to be your first book, it was, and especially because I come from a world where, I work for Z5, right? So I come from a world where I've worked with companies like Disney and Discovery. So I've been on the other side, and I know what it takes to pitch a show, get it approved, and actually have it made out there, right? So here I had this wonderful team tell me that it's your baby, and we're gonna absolutely 100% respect your creativity and your point of view to it. It was a no-brainer for me. I didn't even bother with any other going anywhere else. I said, first book, let's go with them. Like, that's it. And they've been absolutely lovely so far. So
wonderful, wonderful. No, that's so nice to hear that, because I think, like you said, I had my insecurities too. My very first book was on podcasting, which even today half the world doesn't understand the concept, and the other half is like completely about mature podcasts and better podcasts and stuff. So when you had to strike the balance, I remember thinking, who do I go to? And I did send my manuscript to a few of the publications as well, popular ones, which we know as traditional publishers. And I was also introduced through my husband to the Right Order team, and Niket came into the picture. Like you said, it was a very similar experience. He was very spirited, young team, wanting to do something, wanting to achieve. And I think as corporate professionals, you're on the other side, right? You love the energy startups bring. You love the energy, and a new young team is bringing, new blood is bringing into the table. So I think that really set it for me as well. And the fact that they were like, hey, it's your baby. We're here to guide and support, but the entire process is yours. The thought and the driving force is you. So I think that was wonderful. I would say I would add one more thing here. I think a lot of traditional publishers, there's a lot of pressure regarding the sales and the marketing on the author. So it's guys, whoever's not authored a book, I've not delivered a baby, but I think it's just hard enough. It's in my head, okay, it's just as close as, because it was hard. It was tough. There were days I just wanted to quit, and there were days I just couldn't write another word. I had writer's block. I was like, oh, I need to take a holiday to this beautiful chalet in Switzerland, which never happens. And you're looking at your bank balance, you're like, so I invested in something better instead of, one-time trip, which may or may not pay me back. Oh, who knows? So there were so many, like, there were so many things that were going on, and your day job calls you, beckons you, because you're in senior positions and you're handling large volume transactions. So these things are, they're tough to sit down and write books. So when you have a publishing team that's got your back, saying, hey, it's okay, we will push the deadline, we will finish your manuscript by when you can, and let us know if we can help in any way. I think these things are important.
Oh yes,
In
yes,
the
they
writing
were
process,
just
right?
wonderful in terms of timelines, and I think I was the one who would get more hyper and say, "Oh, you know what? I haven't sent it
Yeah,
to you. I'm really sorry
yeah,
about it." And they're like, "It's okay. It's okay. It happens,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know." And yes, like you said, writer's
yeah,
block is a reality. It's not a myth. I mean, absolutely, it happens. It's real. It's as real as it gets, and.
yeah,
Like I've written in my book, in my acknowledgements, it also takes an army for to
yeah,
create an author, because I think
yeah,
now you're absolutely right, right? Now when I look back and I'm thinking the easiest part was probably writing the book.
yeah.
Because it's taken me a year to prep and build the confidence to say that I think I'm ready to share it with the world. I think for me that was one of
Yeah.
the I give huge credit to my husband and my sister for that. I think my husband was just like you need to like stop, because if you don't, I'm going to do it on your
Yeah.
behalf and just going to send it like because every time I do like, oh, you know what? I think I want to rewrite. Oh, I think I want to change this. Oh, I don't think I'm ready. And he would just
Yeah.
be like, that's it. Uh, and like they say at Pixar that scripts are never finished. You have to abandon them.
Yeah.
You have to
You have to
abandon
abandon,
them. And
right.
he reminded me, because when I was at Disney, I did this beautiful, wonderful workshop with Pixar, and I was very lucky to learn a lot of creative writing and tips out there. And he reminded me. He said, "Do you remember what you learned there?" They said, "Scripts are not finished; they're abandoned. It's time. It's time. You need to abandon your book now, so it can go into publication." And
Yeah.
he was right, and that's really how it happened. So, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. But the other part of me was, oh my God, the
Yes.
world is going to see what I've written. It's like, almost sending your kid out to the world to be judged. Like, my work is now in your hands, in your tables. Go ahead, back, do thought
Yeah.
process out there. Uh, it's not all a better and one thing for all the authors.
I think I'm losing you
A
again.
lot of people.
Yeah.
Sorry. Can you hear me? Okay. So, as I, for all those who want to be authors in the future, I think sometimes it's good to have a thick skin, because a lot of people who have different perspectives about a book, and they have a lot of different ways they might have imagined the concept you've given. So it's not always easy to impress everyone. It's not always easy to get everyone to love you and get everyone to understand what you've written or see it the way you
Yeah.
have portrayed it to be. So you need to be very strong, stand tall with your
Yeah.
content, stand tall with your book, uh, write it out, show your perspective, say why you did what, or just like you said, abandon it, move away from it, and distance yourself so that it can live and breathe and have its own life
So
and beauty.
adding to that, Bhargavi, I think I'd also want to share with our, listeners and viewers today that it's, it's like when we are having conversations with people also, right? Or when you are saying, when you're making a speech, or so writing is the same thing. You're sharing what you think is your point of view. Not everybody is going to be aligned with that. There will always be a point of view. There will always be another perspective to it. And there should be, right? Because that is how human interactions and that's how human beings are built. Otherwise, how would we bring in our individuality? So, I've been very, very nervous about putting out my independent creative work out there as well. But I just realized that we have spent our whole lives, and we continue to do that, thinking, what would people think? How would they judge me? How would I be judged? It's a constant in our lives, and then you just have to say, this is me, this is what I want to share. Like coming back to so my book, right, A Dark and Shiny Place, it's I'm not a trained psychologist, I'm not a paranormal investigator either, or right, but I wanted to write about something that I've been very fascinated about. I have wanted to write about something that I've truly, truly believed in, because I believe that both sides are true. I believe we do not have enough research and enough material that has been gathered or proven that the supernatural, the paranormal, does not necessarily exist in the form that we know or beyond it. At the same time, the human mind is so complex, it's so complex that we're still continuing study about it, right? And we still don't know all about it. So it's so fascinating. It's like the ocean. You still don't know exactly what's in the ocean right now. So it's, I think it was just important to explore the story from, and making it more personal, and hence it's a first person narrative. And hence when you start reading the book, it is where Maya is telling you exactly what she's feeling and what she's experiencing and what is going on with her. So when you as a reader are reading, and it's like you're listening to her. You're listening to her talk to you. She's talking to you. And you start believing and seeing everything that she's believing and seeing. Until midway through the book, the point of view changes. And it's then her sister, Meera, who is sitting in another country. And she starts talking to you as a reader. And she starts talking to you about her sister Maya. And then as a reader, you have two different point of views, because you are wondering, wait a minute, Maya's been telling me about this. And you almost want to tell the sister that, but you know what? This is what she's telling me. And Meera's telling you something else. And you're like, okay, but Meera knows her better. So is what she's saying, is that what the truth is, right? Until you get to the end, and I don't want to obviously tell you what the climax is, but until you get to the end to know exactly what was going on with Maya. And, that you kind of I kind of conclude the book. So it's, so the reason I wanted to share this much was also because it's about conversations. It's like how it's exactly perspective. It's about how when you listen to, I mean, it's also used in gossip, right? You listen to somebody and then, oh, somebody else said something. I mean, it's just human nature. It's human conversation. So yeah. So I think, sorry, I can't hear you. Yes. Yes.
I don't know what happened to the live today. All right. When back to the point that I heard, not about the call. Sorry about that. I'm over.
Yes, better. Yes.
Okay. Yay. All right. Happy. So you were talking about perspectives. It's so funny that this also corresponds to what I've written in terms of history, right? The idea of me wanting to write Vishwakarma was because history is always a story. One perspective of what the past was, and then convincing our audience saying, hey, that's exactly what happened. But wait a minute, there might be another outlook. There might have been just something else that someone saw and they interpreted history very, very. So the book Vishwakarma, though it's fiction based, it's very real in India of the time. I think Vishwakarma is trying to give you that alternate perspective in a very fun, maybe in a childlike way. But actually, what he's trying to tell you is, don't always believe everything that has been written or said by someone. Go investigate, go find out, and figure out for yourself if this is the right story or the right perspective, right ideology. I think
Yeah.
especially for today's world, right, where everybody's so idea driven, everybody's so agenda driven, very important to pause for just a second and the other person as well. And informed choice whether whatever you're following and whatever you're aligned to, whichever way it is actually the right way forward. So I feel a lot of times books, they're very
Yes.
innocently written, but they're packed so much in so much world.
Yeah. I think that's just going to be my expression that you know.
I'm gonna dumb charge this whole
Oh, it's my
Insta
favorite
live
game.
out.
I love
I used to do
Damshas.
that. So yeah, yeah. See, one more point of read another
Okay.
book.
So I haven't really picked what I want to read. I thought I'm just going to do this very random thing of just opening up some page.
Okay. Ooh,
Yes,
lottery.
because I'm biased. I don't know what to read. I don't know what is it that I should connect with. So I'm just going to do a very like lottery thingy. Um,
Go ahead.
okay, this is from a chapter called. Okay, this is very making me very nervous, but I'm going to read it anyway. The good thing about dreams is that you know you're dreaming and reality feels real and different. But this house, I knew I wasn't dreaming, not yesterday and not today. It was as real as me sitting here in my flesh and blood, and yet it didn't seem real at all. I walked around the house that was mine, but not mine. I walked into the bedroom and saw there was a single old-style wooden cot. There were two large wooden wardrobes and a dresser. There was only one small window. I felt claustrophobic. I couldn't breathe and I needed my bed. I wanted to crawl back into my sheets and lie there till I woke up from this nightmare. But I couldn't find my bed. I walked around the room desperately looking for something familiar. I walked back out to the living room and saw the only thing I could find comfort in and collapsed right into the rocking chair. I may have passed out again because when I woke up, it was night and silence filled the air. Heavily, I walked to the main door and down the stairs. I couldn't see much and the world seemed to be spinning. It was very dark. I kept climbing down the stairs until I felt the earth at my feet. A street lamp, far distance. The wet earth below my feet and then cool wet grass. I stopped. The feeling was welcoming, and though everything around me felt hazy and dark, the feeling of wet grass under my feet was blissful. I looked up at the sky and saw dark clouds threatening to crash down on me. I looked ahead again and saw the street lamp had moved further away into a distant future of sorts. But it was calling to me, and I wanted to reach it, to feel its warmth, to feel the light. As I looked down and saw my feet buried in the grass, covered completely, panic rose in me as I tried to scream and call for rescue. But no one came, and there was no one around except darkness. It closed in on me like a giant serpent, coiling around and tightening its grip while I was fighting with all my might to free myself and run towards the light until I had no energy left, and I collapsed again. I was back in the rocking chair in my house, sweating profusely and surrounded by darkness. The only source of light was the occasional glow of the moon behind the clouds beaming through my window. I was too tired to do anything. My mind didn't want to wake up, so I just lay there. I don't know for how long. Next, I remember only fragments of what may have been a day, and then night, and distant sounds of birds chirping, maybe. My eyes too tired to open, and there was nothing but haziness. When I did manage to open them, I lay there alone, defeated. for what felt like an eternity. So this was something that she went through. This was the moment that she tipped over. And this was the moment that I felt was so real, uh, that a lot of us connected with, in terms of the endless days and nights that we spent alone, uh, where we lost track of when when is day, when is night, what's the time. We got caught in our same routine and trap over and over again, you know. So yeah, that was, I think, one of the heavier chapters. The chapter is called Phantasmagoria, where it is, yes, Phantasmagoria, where everything is very fantastical in that size, in that sense. But I do want to tell you, after this, it picks up, and then of course you'd want to read the book to know how she comes out of this.
No, it's called.
Thank you. Thank you.
When
Thank you.
since I talk,
I think I lost your audio again.
uh, since
Yes.
my audio is a little bad, I'm not going to read an excerpt from the book today. Today does not seem to be the day for reading the excerpt because the audio is lost in bad technology. So I'm not going to for sure. But yeah, kudos to you. I think this was
Thank you.
amazing. I can't wait for your book to see the
So
light of day. So when is
it's
it launching?
launching on
Tell us more.
Saturday, on the 10th of June, and I'm very excited, very, very excited, and I can't wait to get you a copy. And I do hope, I know you're not in Bombay
Yeah.
right now, but I do hope you can make it. It would be so lovely.
I don't know.
Please do come. Please do. Just join.
Absolutely. I'll keep you posted. Definitely the agenda is to be there in Bombay for some special things, but hopefully I can make it in time for your launch as well. But even if I'm not there, my best wishes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Podcast.
No,
This is
it's okay.
sorry about
I
this.
think it's a part of life, right? We just spoke about that. These things happen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
We can write
should.
a book about this Insta live as well of how amazing it is, but the audio kind of screwed us over. But never mind. Anyway, I'm excited to read about your book, and once again, let's show our books on screen. This is me. Had a great time. Hopefully, a lot.
So lovely chatting with you, Bhargavi. And thank you so much for doing this. I think we should do this again when we also fix our audios. But we should really, really do this. We should meet. We should have an author's catch up and just, really, I'd love to read your book. I'd love to read. I look forward to the ones coming after this as well. And many congratulations. I heard the book's doing very well, and the team has been very excited
Yeah.
about it. So really, really big applause to you for that. I think it's. I'm going to, of course, call you separately and ask you little more tips about how does it feel, because now you're the published author and I'm getting there, so it would be lovely to. I can see Arpit wants us to catch up in Bangalore. Yes, Arpit, we will definitely be doing that.
Yeah. And a month, Arpit, catch up with
For
us in
sure.
Mumbai.
I'm trying to get him also here, but I think he's figuring if he can be here on the 10th.
Yeah. But congratulations and all the have a fantastic and for joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Bhargavi. Thank you, all of you. Lots and lots of love. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yes, absolutely.
Take
Thank you,
care.
everyone. Have a nice
Bye.
evening ahead. Bye.